let's talk about Monaco. Take me inside your head in the car, lap 1, and what's going on. And fun fact, Kush actually had to become fluent in Italian.
Io mazzo in questo gioco. So when I drop it, you can either catch it like that or you can catch it like this.
Too quick, man. That's how a professional does.
I just had to practice.
Lots of practice, but that's amazing. Monaco, May 24th, 2025. The most glamorous, most dangerous, most storied race circuit in the world. A circuit where legends are made, where Senna drove in the rain, where Häkkinen cried after his win, where even getting around without crashing is considered a victory. And on that day, for the first time in history, the Indian national anthem was played at Monte Carlo. Because a 25-year-old kid from Bengaluru did something no Indian has ever done. He won a Formula 2 race. He led every single one of the 30 laps, start to finish, dominant. My guest today is someone I call a friend, someone the world is sitting up and taking notice of, Kush Maini. He is one of the very few Indians competing at the absolute top tier of global motorsport. A sport that is brutally meritocratic. It doesn't care where you're from, who your family is, or what your backup plan is. You either perform at 300 kilometers an hour or you go home. And Kush has one goal, to be an Indian Formula 1 driver, the first one in over a decade. In this conversation, we're not just talking about that win, although we will go over it lap by lap. We're talking about what it actually takes, the childhood sacrifices, the self-doubt nobody sees, the discipline, the biohacking, the mental training, the family legacy, and the sheer bloody-mindedness of chasing something this big. Because the lessons from 300 kilometers an hour are exactly the same lessons that apply when you're starting out at zero. This is Day 0, Episode 5 with Kush Maini. Kush, welcome, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for making this pit stop. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Walk me through your childhood. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? And how did racing first enter your life?
So interesting one. I went to Indus International School, same as Arjun, my brother. Arjun actually, so I used to love sports in general. So
And Arjun's your older brother?
yes, 3 years older. My dad used to race as a hobby. Nothing crazy, nothing professional, but obviously that fuel and the talk on the dinner table was always related to racing in a way.
Okay.
And Arjun fell in love with it before I did. So Arjun started when he was 6 or 7, and then he got a lot of attention because he was very good.
Okay.
And he still is, but he was winning a lot of things and I was getting very jealous. Yeah, as a younger brother, he was getting all the attention from the family. So I was like, I'm going to give it a go, and I was terrible at the start,
Okay.
I used to do a lot of running in school, different sports. So racing for me, even though I started when I was 7, until I was 10 and won my first national karting championship race, was just a hobby, It was just me trying to fit in with my brother, because he's getting so much attention and he was so good. So I was sort of juggling athletics, racing, blah, blah. But when I was 10, that's the first time I remember just I said, I'm going to put everything down and I'm going to do this because I love it. I started to love it. So the difference between me and Arjun was Arjun fell in love with it from the start. I learned to love it, And then from when I was 10, we started doing the national championship races and started doing well. And then when I was 12 years old, obviously racing in India is very niche. It's it's very tough where we come from, especially now it's improving. But when I was young, it was hopefully I'm still young, but when I was younger, it was very difficult to make it in this sport. And that's why the drivers before us who have made it to Formula 1, we have a lot of respect for. So I had to go to Europe at a very young age if I wanted to, keep up with the boys there. And I remember, racing my first race I won the national championship in India, and then I went to Europe and I finished 60th out of 67 cars.
Okay.
So it's a shock because I thought, I was a very cocky kid. So I thought I was the best in the world or whatever. And I went to Europe and then I got my butt whooped. And then, that's when I sort of opened my eyes and I was like, I'm going to do this properly.
Yeah.
So I moved to Europe, etc. So my childhood was very strange in the sense I missed out a lot of on this friend stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the birthdays, you know how you
exams also though.
That's one of the positives. I mean, I was quite hopeless in those days. But yeah, I would say that was a very strange sort of period in my childhood, but I wouldn't change everything because I learned so much from racing itself.
Yeah. Would you say that this first race that you won when you were 10 was the moment where it turned into from just like a hobby or something that you liked to something that you thought that, okay, this is something I can do for my career. Like, this is something I want to get into.
At 10, I was still like, the cocky kid was still like, okay, I'm probably the best in this. So I'm going to go show everyone what I can do.
Sure.
So after winning that first race, it was sort of like delusion almost, where it's like, I'm going to be the best or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what took me to Europe. And then when I got my whooped in Europe, it was almost like, almost like I want revenge now.
Yeah.
So you work harder, you work harder, you work harder. And the year after that, I won the World Series karting race.
Yeah.
With 70 karts. So the same race where almost I finished last.
60, yeah.
I was at the front fighting with the best in the world at that age.
And how old were you then?
So then I was 12.
Okay, that was okay.
So 12 when I first went there, and then 13 when I won the first
that's amazing.
race.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like that. That's the journey where it sort of showed me, first of all, it showed me sacrifice because I had to leave everything.
Yeah.
Secondly, it showed me you can't give up.
Yeah.
Because I could have easily just gone back home after I finished 60th and been like, I'm done with this, I looked like
you got to show up every day.
Yeah. So even that 1 year taught me so many lessons, which which I feel I'm very grateful that I had the chance to learn them in that way.
Dude, honestly, at 12, learning these lessons just sounds incredible, because at 12 you really don't know your head from your like shoulders, right? Like it's like so much respect for the fact that, as a 12-year-old, first of all, leaving India and going to a whole new country, in a sport which is so competitive, and with, like you said, and something I want to talk a little bit maybe deeper about is like how different was it from here to the UK? Because like you said, India is very niche when it comes to racing. Even today, the racing infrastructure is just getting better, and I'm sure it's not even probably a tenth of what it is outside the country even today. So at that point of time, like, how different was it?
No, exactly. Like, it's very daunting. First of all, racing, karting back then was not very diverse in the sense, like, there was very few. I was one of the very few brown people, including my brother, in the paddock.
Yeah.
So, and I came straight from India.
Yeah.
And, you definitely, there was a lot of bullying back then.
Yeah.
Racing is a very...
Did you ever have a moment where you were like, I just don't want to do this, I want to come back?
So many, but I remember the first time I went on the race where I finished 60th, that my first race in Europe.
Yeah.
We all had like a parade where everyone goes on the track. There'll be some pictures of this, we'll send it.
Okay.
There's like a parade where you hold your flag, and I was with Arjun and a few others from India.
Yeah.
And I remember like these bigger, there's like 4 categories in this race. So I was in the smallest one.
Yeah.
And then, you get older and older. Yeah. Last one's like you're 17 or 16.
Yeah.
So I remember like the 16 or 17-year-old from a different country just coming up with his friends and just being like, making fun of my name, my skin.
Yeah.
So already there in India, I was never, I always had friends. I was always, you know how it is when you go, when someone's different, in the sense different from the majority on the paddock, you almost become a target.
Yeah.
So that almost broke me a bit, because I was like, I just hate myself. I just don't want to be Indian. And through that journey, 4 or 5 years after that, when I started winning, I'm the proudest Indian ever. I would never change.
And India is proud.
Oh, that's so sweet. But I can never do enough for my country, because first of all, that taught me so much, because I really hated myself in a sense, because of all the bullying and everything. But it also made me love my country so much than I ever could. So it's almost like a journey which comes full circle.
And this choice of going to the UK at 12 and dedicating your entire life to racing while missing out, like you said, on the friends, birthdays, maybe the going out, the teenager life. Yeah. Do you think that is a choice that you would make again, or
1,000?
You had
1,000 times over. Yeah. And I'm it's not, many people are not able to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that, you know,
Yeah.
God and my family, that they've been so supportive, and I'm so grateful I've been able to do this. So I would do it 1,000 times again. Yeah.
That's amazing. Talking about your brother, Arjun, of course, he also races professionally. What is that dynamic like? Is it collaborative? Is it competitive? Is it a little bit of both? You know, because essentially you are brothers, but you are also rivals in a sense.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe a different in different categories of or different race circuits or different race tracks altogether. But how is that relationship?
No, great question. Look, Arjun, that dynamic has changed so much.
Yeah.
You know? Obviously, the jealousy when I was young, watching him get all the attention in newspapers, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I want to beat him. So for a long time of my starting, like in my career, it's one of my regrets actually in life, because I could have learned so much from him, because he's so good. He's still so good. And now I finally am.
Yeah.
But back then when I was young, it was almost like I just wanted to beat him, you know. I was doing it to beat him.
Yeah.
So it was very everything we did was so competitive. I mean, we had so many fights.
Yeah.
But you know, we'd give our life for each other. So it's almost like it's a healthy sort of competition, but I feel I could have taken so much more from him at that young age. Yeah. But it was almost always competition. So that dynamic changed in the last few years, when I was like, this guy, especially after you know what Arjun's been through and everything with the radio and stuff. Not many people can survive that. You know, he's so strong in the mind, and he's been through everything I'm going through, and he's already been through it. So all his mistakes, you know, after a bad day, good day, I always call him and speak to him. And when we were younger, that dynamics changed so much. It makes me smile sometimes, you know.
And I'm also sure, you know, at like different moments where either one of you were like, you know, are we in this? Like, you know, after like especially like a hard loss or something, like where you really put in all your effort, and, you know, you might have not gotten the results, and you're contemplating whether you want to continue this. I'm sure there was some level of cross motivation from each other, that like, I don't want to quit when he's there, or like when Arjun was in a similar position, he saw you doing, you know, progressing or giving it your all. So I think the little bit of cross motivation helps.
For sure. And what you have to, like, with racing or any sport, you have more bad days than good. Yeah. You know, half the time we're all just sad. Yeah. Because we know we haven't achieved what we want to do. Yeah. And that's what everyone needs to realize, that, you know, the good days do make up for it, but you got to be ready for the bad days, and you got to be ready to stand up. So that motivation, I think, really helped push us on. Yeah,
I'm sure. Okay, let's get to everything else that goes into racing. Walk me through a race week, not the Instagram version of it. Okay. The actual one. What time do you wake up, and what's the first thing that you do?
Perfect. Interesting. This is the first time I'm going to do this on an interview, so nice one. Depends on the track. Obviously, some tracks you wake up very early. Yeah. Because some races for F1, if it's a night race, then we have time. Yeah. But I'll take you through a general one. We get there on Wednesday night. Yeah. Obviously, have a good night's sleep at the hotel. Yeah. Thursday, we're early at the track, probably 9 a.m. Okay. We have our track walks. So we walk the track with our teammate and our whole team. Yeah. Then we have a debrief on the weekend. So we put up all the scenarios. What if it rains? What tires are we going to use? What's our run plan for free practice, because that's the first session. Yeah. So a lot of...
And this is on the Thursday?
Yes. Okay. On the Thursday. Then we have the data from the simulator. Yeah. And we have data from the previous year. So we go through all scenarios, really, getting ready for anything that can happen. See the lap times, how they were from the previous year. You know, each push lap. We go through each push lap and see how much the tires degrade, or if they hold on. Yeah. So like that, we make a run plan, and Thursday's a lot of that stuff. Yeah. And some media stuff, of course, always. And obviously we head home, so it's a long day. Thursday is the longest day, even though we don't drive. Yeah. You're always the most tired on a Thursday. I'm sure. You do so much thinking. Yeah. That at the end of the Thursday, you're just fried, to be honest.
It's also the nerves.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. For sure, the nerves as well, but also it's just such a long day, man. Because you're there to drive, you know. Yeah. You're there to drive, so you're itching to drive, but you're not driving. Yeah. You're just talking about stuff and you're going through it in your head. And then the more you talk about stuff as well, this is where the mind comes massively into play. You need to stay calm, because as soon as you stop talking about circumstances, you run through, and your brain automatically puts all the worst case scenarios in. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what takes the mental power away. Yeah. So at the end of the Thursday, you're fried. You have dinner either at the track, or sometimes you go back and you just get away from the track and have it. Then I'll get to the room, you know, speak to obviously Nikki or my brother or my family. Watch a few ridiculous videos, hopefully just to laugh. Just keep the mood light. Yeah. I always pray. So I'll do like a little mantra jap or something like that. Just makes me feel comfortable, makes me feel closer to home.
Yeah.
Then I sleep, wake up the next day. Breakfast, obviously my trainer's with me all through the whole week. So he keeps on me for my nutrition, my hydration and everything.
Yeah.
We get to the track, go through whatever we went on Thursday, but go through it once more as a final plan for free practice. Then we do a physical warm-up, get in the car, free practice starts. It's a 45-minute session.
This is on the Friday.
Yes, it was on the Friday. We have one set of tires for the whole session.
Yeah.
So depending on previous years, seeing the degradation of the tire, we make our plan, and obviously we have enough fuel for that plan. And hopefully everything goes to plan, and you come in. Obviously, if it's a bad session, because next is quali. So if it's a bad, and quali can make or break your weekend in many tracks. If it's a bad session after FP, that's where your nerves are like the highest, because you're like, man, this is like bad, we need to figure out what's not working, where I need to drive better, where the car can feel better. So that's where the massive debrief starts with the engineers and everything. But also having a good one, you can't just stay still, because everyone's trying to catch up. And then it's lunch. Then we have I'll try and nap or close my eyes or meditate or something, because just to calm the nerves and everything, because quali is probably the most nerve-wracking session, I say. And then you get ready for quali. It's a long wait, so we watch F1, F1's FP1, FP2. So we're watching F1, and then straight after F1's session, we get in the car, and then it's quali. And then after quali, the day is done. We do our debrief for the next day, the race. Go back, eat, wake up on a Saturday. Saturday, our races are normally later, so we get the lion of it. It's nice. My trainer tries and knocks on my door and gets me up, let me sleep. So we have our breakfast, and then we do a little bit of mobility, some physical prep, some stretches before getting to the track, because this is where we can sort of be away from the track, but also get our body ready, get our mind ready. Then we get to the track, and then it's sprint race, so it's after F1's FP3. So we get there, we do a sprint race, and then we watch F1 quali after. And then Sunday is very early normally, because F1 has a massive build-up for their race and everything.
F2 happens before F1, right?
Before F1, So our feature race happens before, obviously, F1's main race, but it happens 3-4 hours before. Because they have their whole build-up and everything, like their fan meet, they go around the track in a truck, and they see all the fans and whatever. So our races are normally early on a Sunday. So we finish our race, and then that's it. Honestly, everyone thinks, I'm there and I'm going to watch F1. I watch it on my phone on the way to the airport, because I want to beat the traffic. Then it's hell. If you stay until F1's done, you're not getting out.
Fair enough, dude.
So that's a weekend, really.
I want to know, in this process, when do you think is that sort of pivotal moment where game face turns on?
Game face turns on, I would say, Friday morning. Thursday, I like to keep it light. I like to keep it a little bit jokey. Because if you take it too seriously, you burn out. So I would say Friday morning is where, you put your game face.
You put your game face on. Okay. Focusing on diet, everyone talks about how diet matters, but nobody shares the reality, right? What are you actually eating during season and off of season? And is there some things, or one particular thing or a few things that you've completely cut out of your...
So I have a great team behind me in this. So obviously they're all in contact. They're all Hinsa. It's a company that helps me be my best. So my trainer, obviously, even when I'm in India or Bangalore, I have each day, it's either a green session or a red meal or a red session. So if it's a very hard session, my diet's going to change towards that hard session. So let's say it's a VO2 max training. I'd have to carb up. I'd have to have gels. I'd have to be very hydrated. If it's a easy session, let's say a zone 2, just to keep the volume, then it would be very low on carbs, very high on protein. So it's very dependent on every day. Obviously, race days and weekend is very... There, honestly, I would eat what I want. I'd have a pizza at night or whatever, because you just want... You want to be calm, but also, you want to be happy. And I love food. People love food. I mean, most people do, I hope.
Is this... Okay, I've heard this a lot, but is... People say that from the start of the race to the end of the race, you actually lose a bunch of weight.
Yes.
So I've heard numbers almost 4 or 5 kilos.
And F1 boys, in Singapore, for the F1 boys. So it all depends on let's say if it's a very cold race in Europe, you wouldn't lose a lot. But if it's all water weight. So let's say Singapore or Jeddah,
Yeah.
I mean, I lost, I think, 2.2 kilos in Jeddah.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, the F1 race is so much longer, and it gets so hot in the cockpit that you just lose all the water.
Yeah.
So it's all water weight. So you put it back on, but it's draining for sure.
Yeah. And just for the interest of people who don't know what the difference in the race formats are.
Yeah.
Do you want to like break down a F1 season versus an F2 season?
Sure. So F1's 24 races.
Yeah.
F2's 14.
14 races.
But we have 2 races a weekend.
Okay.
So we have the sprint race and the feature race. F1, they have some sprint weekends, but normally it's the Grand Prix weekend where it's just 3 FPs, quali, and the main race. But the thing is, their main race is much longer than ours. Probably, I would say about 30 minutes longer.
Yeah.
And
it's what, 72 laps?
It depends
on the circuit.
All distance. So they see, let's say if a track is 4 kilometers versus like 6 kilometers, or Spa 7.
Yeah. Spa
would be less laps than the 4 kilometer one. So you would always do the same distance.
Yeah.
But the laps vary on track size. So your time in the car as an F1 driver in the Grand Prix race will always be the same around.
Yeah.
But the only thing that'll change is because the track's longer or shorter, would change like that.
Fair enough. And what role does recovery play? Like there's ice baths, saunas, red light therapy, compression. There's so much noise around this stuff. So what do you actually do? And what if it is like just real fast, you think?
So if it's a very hot race, I sneak into the Alpine paddock, like the F1 paddock, and go into the Piers or Franco's ice baths.
Yeah.
I love ice baths. So that's definitely something I do. But if it's a cold race, honestly, I would say just recovering your mind.
Yeah.
Because it's so much info going through each session and after that you want to just close your eyes. Yeah. But if it's a hot race, then your body needs it. So I would go for an ice bath for sure.
Fair enough. Physical training. F2 actually generates, like F2 cars generate almost like 4 to 5 Gs of force at corners, and 1 G force is the amount equivalent of gravity on Earth, right? So imagine that while you were turning, and 4 to 5 times of that, right? So that's brutal on like your neck. I've seen so many videos of, and we'll put something up where, F1 drivers train their neck, their core and everything. So what is your training like, and what does a typical week in the gym look like?
So a lot of cardio, a lot of aerobic. I would do, I would say every week, probably like 9-10 hours of aerobic in a certain zone. Depends if it's zone 2, zone 3, zone 4 on the training. But a lot of aerobic. Strength would be like thrice a week, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously for the F1 boys, they have power steering.
Yeah.
So for them, it's mainly their neck and their core.
Yeah.
But in F2, you don't.
Your power
is much heavier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to work your arms, your.
That's insane. I don't
so
know
you do have to work a lot of. It's not really. It is strength, because strength is relative.
Yeah.
So if you're stronger, it's just gonna be easier in general. But also you got to go long. It's got to be laps and laps. So you got to be very well conditioned in each muscle. Yeah. Especially the shoulders for F2, the whole upper body. You don't want to be stiff in the car. So you want to be almost light and nimble but strong at the same time. So it's that's why the diets are so tailored, and also our weights are so, we're so light. Yeah.
And also I think my follow-up on that was like, you have to be at a specific weight, right?
In F1, the teams make the car around, there's so many details, but in F2, I'm 62 kilos.
Yeah.
And I think if you're 74 kilos or 73 kilos without kit, obviously, you're overweight. So you just bleed time. So there's a window there, but you can't be more than 73, 74 kilos.
Okay.
So you got to be really strong, but also light. So it's, you can't have a lot of fat on you.
I can imagine. Okay. So from the body to the mind, okay, let's focus while you're driving.
Yeah.
And of course I have a few questions on, the mental state and, the focus that it takes. But do you almost feel like, because you're first of all going at such high speeds, what is the formula, or is there something that you use that helps you focus through that time, because it's still 2 hours long, right?
Yeah.
So continuously focusing, because you're going extremely fast and you're not the only car on the track, right? You have everyone else, and the tracks are not always very simple. It changes again and again. What is that sort of, do you have anything that helps you like be mentally on top of it, like through your time?
I think this is something you prepare outside the car. Yeah. Because then it works inside. Yeah. So it's like that meditation, that keeping your focus, that because the most dangerous thing you can do is let your mind wander. Yeah. Sure. Because if you start thinking about, oh, there's a bird there or something like that, and people, you can do it. Yeah. Because so let's say you're driving alone, like let's say in P6 or even P1. Yeah. When it's so comfortable and you're like, oh, I'm so much in the lead, you can actually wander. Yeah. And make mistakes. Yeah. So it's almost like being intense and the right intensity, but also the right focus and not over. So there's that small window there which you want to be in. But I think you train this, we have mind coaches and sports psychologists that help us a lot in ways to prepare for this. But I would say this is all prepared outside. So my focus, I would say, has improved a lot. Yeah. As a kid, I was all over the place. Yeah. But now I can be in that car and just focus. That was my main issue, I would say, when I was starting.
And do you feel like visualization and like manifestation, all these things, these are all glitz glamour words right now. Do you think that, first of all, do you actually practice them? And like, if you're visualizing something while you were in the car, what would that be?
So manifestation, I think, I believe in it, not massively, but I do believe in it. But I also believe that we all have a plan and we need to be our best as humans and sportsmen or whatever you're doing. Yeah. But there is a plan and I don't think you should stress about stuff you can't control. Yeah. In the end, all we can do is prepare ourselves the best. And if the result doesn't come, you gave it everything, Yeah. So I would say manifestation, if I would like manifest, it would be a podium. Yeah. And I would be like on top or something like that. Or just, keep saying in my mind, that this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. You're just attracting a bit of positivity. You feel better, you feel motivated. Yeah. So in a way, I do manifest, but it's more unconscious. I don't like be like, okay, I'm going to sit down now and manifest. It's more like it's just unconscious because you're obsessed with what you're doing.
You have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have a pre-race mental routine? Like mantras, like you said, you believe in that, meditation, music, or silence?
So I would say, depending on, one thing that's always there is, I just pray to God. I see I have always all my gods on my phone, or I bring them to the track and I just look at them, it makes me feel calm. Yeah. So that's always the same, but it depends on my mood if I'm going to listen to music or not. And it even depends like if I'm going to listen to rock, if I'm going to listen to something, or if I'm even going to listen to a bhajan. Yeah. I even do that sometimes. So that changes around, but looking at God, I would say that's my one routine, which I have to do.
That's amazing. And it's amazing because you look at people today and like I'm sure most people like at 25 are not thinking about this, so I'm sure most people not also on a track with a car going 300 kilometers an hour. Okay, you said publicly that you had a lot of self-doubt in 2024. Yeah. For someone who looks like I know you, you're happy-go-lucky golden retriever bouncing around like everywhere. Hearing that is honestly surprising and also kind of reassuring, I have to say, because what does this self-doubt feel like for you, and what triggers it?
It's crushing, man. Like I was really down in the dumps. Obviously, 2021 actually I couldn't race because COVID happened and all the sponsors pulled out and we didn't really have any backing. Yeah. So I really thought the dream was over then. I actually started coming up with different plans or something, and I was at home in COVID and just like I was really down in the dumps.
That's when we met. Actually.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I would say self-doubt creeps in because you're always trying to talk yourself up, and like I mentioned, you always have more bad days than good. Yeah. Those bad days can really eat you because you've given your whole life for it. This is the only thing you know how to do. Yeah. You left so early, and so many people are counting on you. The country's counting on you. Yeah. So when that self-doubt comes, it can really crush you. Yeah. I've learned how to deal with it better over the years, but I feel like 2021 was a real downer. Yeah. And so, 2025 for me was a very tough year. Obviously Monaco was great, but in general, nothing really clicked. I didn't feel great in the car. My first year in F2, I was challenging for poles almost every race. Yeah. And now it just didn't feel like it was clicking. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel at home. Yeah. And again, that can really eat you because you're like, is there actually a plan? Then you start doubting, you start doubting everything. And then you start trying to control things you can't. Yeah. In the end, we can't control the result. We can't control others' performances. Yeah. But self-doubt can make you do that. Yeah. And when you become a control freak, obviously you're going to have more issues because things are going to go out of your control. Yeah. It's natural. So I would say that's where it stems from and leads to, and it can easily eat you there.
And do you feel like you're able to now distinguish when your doubt is overly critical and can be destructive, or versus when, you know, a little bit of doubt is actually a helpful thing, maybe?
I would say it's still a work in progress. I would say there's still on a race weekend, like let's say if it rains or something, like, oh, why did it rain? You know, but like that's that reaction is already, you're trying to control the weather now. So it's almost like you start realizing it more and more, but I would say I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I think there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm proud of, I mean, I'm happy to say that because I know I can be so much better.
Fair enough. There's a quote of yours, again, going back to some of the stuff that you said, that you have a big, you considered yourself to have a big ego and unwilling to learn. And, you know, I know you, there's not even like a morsel in you which I could think has that. When did that sort of shift happen for you, and what caused that?
I think spiritual journey. My spiritual journey helped me a lot with that. I was always spiritual from the start, but what changed was when I was younger, it was always asking God for success or results or things I want, just greed. But now it's changed to, you know, asking God for opportunities and lessons to make me better. So in a sense, it's shifted from being greedy and just wanting God to give me everything easily to actually enjoying the journey and the process. And that itself, that ego, you let go of it, because ego stems from, I would say, the end result, not the process. The process shouldn't have an ego, and it normally doesn't.
And it's often the process that humbles you a lot.
Exactly. Right? And it definitely has for me. So I would say experiences, you know, everything. In the moment, you're like, oh, why did this happen to me? But you look on, and if that didn't happen, I'd still be egoistic. So it's almost like everything comes back.
Fair enough. And do you, like, you know, I've seen this, and, you know, and when you're doing the research as well, like, you've crashed, and you also brushed upon this earlier, you've crashed at like 250 kilometers an hour, had mechanical failures rob you of, like, you know, your spot on the podium. How do you reset from something? And, you know, at the end of the day, your training's still the same. Like, you've put in your 110% throughout this, and these are things which are not in your control. So how do you reset from like losses which are due to circumstances which are not in your control? And what is that mental conversation that you have with yourself?
Very good question. I think that's why emotional regulation is one of the most important things in sport in general. If you go crazy when you win, you're gonna fall down when you lose. So it's almost like keeping that stable emotion. That if you win, you know, it's almost like not being egoistic or not taking all the credit. It's almost like everything happened and I'm very grateful. But also when you lose, it's almost like keeping that same mindset. So you wake up the next day and you go to the gym and you do the same intense workout as you would do if you won. You know, so it's almost like, again, it's results, looking at the results or wanting results can kill your career. Because that's where all of these stuff come in. But when you just look at the process and you're like, look, if I win, it's because all of these things came together, and if I lose, it's because these things didn't come together. I'm gonna go back and work. But as soon as you win and you're like, I'm the best, then you're gonna fall for sure.
Understood.
And I fell many times, I can tell you that, when I was younger.
I wanted to ask you, okay, we'll switch gears now. You know, I've practiced all my race car references, so we're gonna switch gears now.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Monaco. May 24th, you led all 30 laps. Take me inside your head in the car, lap 1, and what's going on?
So obviously Monaco is a difficult track to pass.
You
know, starting on pole, I was very optimistic, but always when you're so optimistic of winning, it's like you got to keep yourself down a bit. Start is so important. I mean, if you mess up the start there, you lose Monaco, you know? It's like one of the biggest race. And
the most glamorous race.
You're in the best position, and if you mess up at start, like, man, that would be I don't know if you could recover from that. And it's happened to so many people. And it's, you know, losing, that would be like soul crushing. So that start, I was very nervous for. I remember the day off. But yeah, the start went really well. And, you know, I was happy as soon as the start finished. But then I knew, you know, this was going to be a fight with the mind. You know, in Monaco, normally you race others. In Monaco, you race yourself. Or you battle yourself. Because this is where walls, you're missing them by like 20 centimeters. But also, this is where the wandering, because you're alone in the front. It's almost like you let your mind wander and you think of, oh, how's the national anthem going to sound? Or how's the trophy going to look? Next thing you know, you hit a wall and it's done. So that's where you can be your worst enemy.
Yeah.
And then I remember lap 4 or 5, I started having a brake issue. And now that's the worst thing you can have in the street. Because you don't have confidence on the brake. You easily just miss your braking and go straight. So the braking issue started getting worse. And this is, then I'm like, oh my God, is this, I'm going to get crushed again. All the failures in my life. And this one's going to suck as well. Blah, blah, blah. So you start having like a battle, but that's where you got to stay focused. And that's why I would say, for people watching outside, it's like, oh, you start on pole and it's easy, but it's actually the toughest because it's so, you can let yourself get comfortable and that intensity drops and you can be in the wall.
That makes sense. Yeah. Lap 28, 29, 30, 3 laps from history. What was running through your minds specifically towards the end of the race?
Towards the end of the race, I remember the last lap, just visualizing the flag of India, to be honest. Like, just every time I see that, it's such a proud moment. And the thing was, this was on Saturday, the sprint race. So it's right before F1 qualifying. So the stands were full of people. And just like knowing that, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be standing there and everyone here is going to hear our national anthem for the first time in Monaco. That's what was going through my head, to be honest. I was like just psyched and proud, but also still knowing that the race isn't over yet as well. But yeah, India was the one thing going in my mind.
So if you, like, when you cross the line, the first thought, like, if you didn't have to think about like what you had to tell the journalist, you would say just the national anthem with the Indian flag. That was
when I crossed the line, I was like, thanks, that's over, My brakes weren't feeling good, and yeah, it was just one of those races where I just wanted to be done with.
And going back to that braking point where it's something like that does happen, like if your brakes do not perform, like even say, they weren't performing to 100%, but like, is there a point where, you have to go to the pit stop and they change it? Or like if it doesn't work, that's it?
If brakes are too long of a process, so if your brakes fail or something really goes wrong with your brakes, then you're done.
Then you're done.
But my brakes were sort of like it was there, but it was just not efficient, I wasn't feeling good with it. The pedal was very long. There was a lot of air in the system. So in that case, you can finish the race. And, but you got to be very like intense because you can easily just make mistakes then.
Understood. Mika Häkkinen is your mentor. He's a Monaco legend himself. He's won twice, I think, the race and the championship twice. What did he say to you after you won?
Well, the thing is, mine and Mika's journey started in Monaco in 23.
Okay.
So winning there in 25 was like, again, whole circles. It was amazing. But with Mika, he's such a legend. He's almost like, because I had a race the next day, he's like, okay, what's your plan tomorrow? It's almost like these guys, there's a reason they're world champions, and there's a reason they're so great, because for them, it's they don't let this stuff get in their head. They don't talk about success. They just talk about what we could have done even to be better in that race. So that's where they sort of separated. Obviously, there was a pat in the back, and almost like we laughed about how this journey came full circle, but straight away it was on to tomorrow and the main race.
And what does it mean for you to have someone like him in your corner with you?
I mean, I said this in an interview in 23 before I met Mika or even knew he ever knew me or anything. And I was like, he's my favorite driver of all time. And then, 4 months or something after that, I was, discussing him becoming my mentor. And he's never done that before.
Okay. So,
So it was almost like, God definitely had a hand in that, in my opinion.
What is, you would say, one, like the most counterintuitive thing that Mika has taught you? Like something that goes against what most people would think is, typical for racing or performance?
I would say a race start. Okay. So obviously, as soon as naturally you're thinking turn 1, am I going to go outside, inside? So I was having a chat with him, what do you reckon I should do? There's been a lot of crashes on the inside. Maybe I should take the outside, but then what if someone hits me there? And he's like, wait, why are you thinking about that? Just think about dropping the first clutch, then see what happens. So it's almost like you want to be prepared, but he's also like, be in the moment, like just be there, nail that, and then let everything else, let your instincts take over the rest. So it's almost like be less prepared, because preparing there for stuff, for 1,000 scenarios that can happen in turn 1, you're just going to stress your mind and again, think the worst. Whereas suddenly when you're only thinking about dropping 2 clutches, it's so much simpler. So that's one thing which I was like, oh yeah.
Instead of like preparing for like 100 worst case scenarios, just like be in the moment, because this stuff
exactly
already.
It's all in your instincts,
it's all
your life. So it's almost like just nail that first part. my start was shit there. But now it's because of him.
He's also said, Mika has also said, I want all Indians to know Kush Maini. I want everybody in India cheering for him. That's an enormous statement from a world champion. How do you carry that? And does it fuel you or does it create pressure?
I mean, if this stuff is going to break you with the pressure, there's definitely pressure, but then you don't belong here, So it's something, in F1, those boys go through tons more, they're under a microscope, but for me, I would say having Mika by my side is, I pinch myself almost every day. It's almost like, how is this possible? I'm a kid from India. I went to Indus International School. I was in Bangalore. I eat dosa. Right? Someone's like, and there's Mika Häkkinen, this Formula 1 legend who I've watched from such a young age, and now he's behind me, and he loves India. He loves he knows the potential of our country, and he also sees something in me, which sometimes I don't even see myself. So having that, there's been a backbone for me for sure.
And do external expectations either ever affect internal ones, or like do they guide them in a way, or are they completely separate?
In a way, I'm my own worst critic. I don't need someone to tell me that I did something wrong or bad, or if I didn't do a good job, because I'll beat myself up for that. So in a way, the external pressure, is there, but it's also more coming from me. It's my personal drive, and it's my goal in this life, for my country, for my family, for everyone. I want to do this. So that criticism really comes from myself, really.
Shifting again gears from self to family, like you mentioned, because I think being a sportsman or being an elite athlete, like is a lot of self-work, of course, but it needs like a village and an entire ecosystem behind it. Stepping into some facts about Kush's family, which maybe not everyone knows about, but Kush's grandfather built Mini Corp from scratch in 1973. And his uncle Chetan built India's first EV car. I don't know if you guys have seen the Reva. It was a legend of its time before your Tesla came to the world. And your dad raced. You mentioned that. This is an extraordinary sort of legacy in automotive. And was there ever an unspoken expectation, or a spoken one, that you would join the business instead of pursuing your own sort of career?
That's where my family has been just unreal. I'm so lucky, because that was never the case. And I wouldn't want to do it. I want to just I've been born to race, and I want to help so many people, but through my racing, and hopefully bring that talent and help India and help the world, and be a good person in the end of the day. But that platform they've given me is something, obviously, I'm so grateful for, because so many people don't have the chance, and they would love to do it. But my family have never ever forced me to do anything I didn't want to. They just said that, whatever you do, you give 100%. And when they saw I was giving 100% to racing when I was 12 and I went to Europe, that's when they were like, "No, we'll back you fully." And they haven't stopped since, no matter how many bad days we've had.
Have you ever asked them on like one of those bad days, or like now in the future, looking back at it, like have you ever asked them like, what kept you so motivated even when I wasn't feeling the motivation myself?
No, mate. And sometimes I've even asked them, like, do you think we should just stop? Like, and that's crushing conversation to have for someone who's given everything to help you do this. To be like, I think we're done. That's like the worst. But that's what I mean. My dad's always been so positive, so optimistic, feeds me with so much positivity. Even when it feels like there's no chance in the world I'll ever make it to where I want to be, having a chat with him for like 5 minutes, and I feel that belief again. So having a family like that, I mean, I'm so blessed to have that.
Fair enough, dude. Racing at the top level, F1 is an expensive sport. And so you're basically an entrepreneur yourself, right? Like, because you're raising money from sponsors, pitching to teams, managing investors who are betting on you. Do you think of yourself as an entrepreneur in any way?
I've always had a business mind, but no, I'm not smart enough for that, man. No, I would say I I would say it's a bit different. I'm always an athlete, and many racing drivers are actually, very capable to be
Very astute.
Yes, and the pitching for sponsors and everything. I've done my fair share of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I'm an athlete first, and whatever I'm doing is to obviously fund that. But I don't look at myself as an entrepreneur. But I see where you are coming from, because I see many drivers who maybe don't see themselves as entrepreneurs, but I see them as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it's sometimes, when you're in the moment, you don't see it yourself, but externally looking at it. Do you want to maybe, do you think you could break down what the economics of an F1 track looks like? Like, not the track itself, but like you pursuing F1 as a career, what would that look like? What are the steps, and how do you get from karting to F1?
And first of all, I'll just tell you everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have sponsors along the way that help.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be really difficult. But karting, obviously, when I started, it was a lot cheaper. But if you want to do karting right, you got to go to Europe. You got to be on the track every week.
Yeah. And when do you think when do you start? Like, what is too late, or what is the ideal age?
I would say, the thing is, like, for someone who lives in England, you know, they drive like 30 minutes to a track, and they're with like some of the best drivers in the world, and they're already driving on like a Sunday.
Yeah.
Probably for us, it's like you're going to have to leave home by like 11, 12.
Okay.
Go to Europe.
Yeah.
Get into that atmosphere. Race against the best to be the best. So yeah, I would say karting is, obviously there's no testing ban or anything. Like in F2, we have a testing ban. So you can't just go drive the F2 car. There's a ban.
Yeah.
But in karting, there isn't, because it's the first step.
Yes.
So the more you drive, the better.
Yeah.
So it's almost like every week you're on track. Every week there's a different race at a really high. There's like 70 cars.
And you were doing this in Bangalore when you were growing up?
In Bangalore, there was nothing, but when I left for Europe.
Yeah.
So when I was 12.
Okay.
So you're driving, you're karting every week almost. You're karting almost every day sometimes.
Yeah.
And that can be expensive. It can go up to, I would say, now it's probably even different. Yeah. Even more with how the world's going and everything. And karting now looks like some trucks, when you go to a karting track, looks like F1 trucks. It's crazy. Yeah. They all have like 3 chassis ready. If one gets destroyed or gets bent, you get into another one. So it's crazy now. Yeah. So I would say, you can be spending up to, I would say, 4 or 5 CR easy.
Oh yeah?
For your 11, 12-year-old.
That's crazy, yeah. And do these carts, do the drivers typically own them, or is there like do you rent them?
So some own them, but you can practice on your own. But normally when you do it properly, you're part of like a team, a proper team. Yeah. Like a factory team or something like that. Yeah. And wherever that truck goes, because many kids test and kart at the same time. So that truck's going all over the place. Yeah. And you just go to the track and your car's ready. Yeah. So in that way, it's very professional in that sense. Yeah. So you do this for, let's say, until you're 15. Yeah. Every year prices go up a bit. Yeah. As the cars get bigger. And then F4 can be, there's many championships. So many drivers now do, let's say, 4 championships in a year. But I only did 1. Obviously, it's very expensive. Yeah. But the more you do, the better. Again, because there's no ban.
It's experience, right?
The more you race, the better you're gonna get. It's just normal. Yeah. So some drivers do 3, 4 championships, then they can go up to like even 1 million. Yeah. So like 7, 8, 9, 10 crores, easy. Yeah. Testing and everything.
Yeah. And this is per championship or per year?
Per year. So if you end up doing 3, 4 championships.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which now everyone is doing. So if you want to be at that level, you're going to have to do it. Yeah. Obviously then after F4, there's many options, but you can do Formula Regional, blah, blah. So that number keeps slightly going up. But when you get to a certain like F3 level, which is World F3, there's a testing ban and you can't do other championships. Really. No one really does other championships. So there's like you just do 1 championship. Yeah. So actually then it sort of plateaus out price-wise. Okay. And then obviously there's F2, which is the top of the chain. Yeah. F1, we won't even get started on that. It's ridiculous. You can't even buy a seat, I would say, nowadays. It's just, there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah. And you have to be very good. And you can't just come in and buy a seat now.
Yeah. Do you feel like today, like from the little bit that I know about the fundamentals, I've heard like, from karting to F2 is when you're paying the team, or when you're funding yourself, whether through sponsors or whether personal finances, then F1 is that sort of turning point, if you ever make it there, where you start getting paid back. And there's 24 drivers in the entire world. So does that pressure, how's that?
Massive pressure, but honestly, it's not even about that. For me, it's about just making it to my goal. Like, I want to be racing in F1. Like, let's say Arjun now has become a factory driver for Ford. He gets very healthy salary, and he can, he's made it. It's almost so. I see him as made it. He's a professional driver. And he's in GTs. And there's Formula E, which is the electric.
And what do you feel about that?
We'll come on that. So there's Formula E, which pays very well. It's all factory teams, and it's becoming very competitive. And it's always been competitive, actually, but the cars are getting very, very cool and very fast. Then there's endurance racing, so World Endurance Championship, ELMS, there's stuff in America. So there's a lot of things you can actually branch out to after F2 to make money. But for me, it's that F1 goal.
Fair enough.
So there's, at one point, it'll be a healthy sort of, like Arjun now is perfect. He's settled in. But there's a lot of opportunities there. But it's just that, for me, it's that, that almost that greed of F1 in a way, which is, I would say not greed, but I just have to reach it, that hunger.
That's fair. And I think that's amazing. And I'm sure everyone in India is hoping for that as well. Do you follow what is happening while you're pursuing this career? Do you follow what's happening at the Maini group at all? Do you sit in on meetings, or for right now it's just like a completely different track?
Completely different for me. For me, I let the guys who are capable handling that. I'll do what I feel I'm decent at. But I would say it's already so busy. I mean, I'm in the UK most of the year. There's meetings with the team, simulator sessions. I'm at Alpine a lot of the time, training, doing testing work and development work for Alpine. So the F1 stuff. So I just have no time for this also. But also, I think I'd just be useless. I'd be like furniture there, to be honest. So
I mean,
I could learn it, but obviously for now, I'm just putting everything into that one goal of mine. But right now it's obviously I'm following up on what's happening. My cousin brother I'm really close to is working there, and my dad obviously will tell me once in a while what's happening. But it's not like I'm in the board meetings and stuff like that.
And I think that's okay for now.
Exactly. No, I'm fully alright. I'm fully alright with that.
Talking about F2 versus F1, you've tested for Alpine F1 twice now. What is the biggest difference between F2 and F1 that you think most people typically don't realize?
I think just because they think it's like F2 and one step after is F1, they think it's not. It's huge. For me, it's like the difference between F4 and F2. So how it feels going from F4 to F2 feels like going from F2 to F1, just driving the car.
Just
that's how fast it is.
Like incrementally that much different.
It's so fast, so much G-force. Obviously the arms are easier actually
because the mouse
actually felt easier. But the neck has to be solid, the core has to be solid, and then just like the braking performance, the stuff you can change in the car. In F2, once you're in the car, you can only change the brake bias, which basically decides how much you want to brake, which you can with the front or the rear, and then you can change the balance of the car. With F1, you can change diff, you can change so many things. So if you feel like the car's understeering or oversteering, your engineer will come on the radio because there's live data, and he'll see it on the data and be like, okay, we suggest this setting. You change it and it helps the balance. So it's almost like so advanced. There's like 40 engineers, like 30 engineers just sitting there in F1. And in F there's two. There's two engineers. Your race engineer, your perform engineer. In F1 there's like engineers for the PU system, engineers for the aero, engineers for the tires. So it's another level, man. Like being in that, I've been lucky now to drive it like 6 days and be in that environment, and one in an official day with Pierre, learning like a proper day, and that one day probably taught me more than I've learned in like years. So it's mental.
And did it almost feel like a graduation moment when you tested the car? Or
for me, it definitely like was a proud moment, but I wouldn't say graduated because I haven't made it yet. But being on track with Lewis and a Ferrari, being on track with Lando, who just won the World Championship, with all these guys you watch all year and for many years, being on track with them is you're almost like you're on a slow lap after you finish your push lap, and then your engineer comes on the radio, is like, okay, Lewis behind 3 seconds on a push lap. It's like, man, like I can't believe I'm hearing that. That's like a dream already.
And that's amazing. And it honestly does feel like surreal, I'm sure. Yeah. So last question before we get to some of the more like rapid fire and a couple of other things. If there's a 7-year-old kid in Bangalore today, and right now he wants to be the next Kush Maini, what would you tell him? What is step one and what is the realistic path?
I would say I would give myself this advice as well. If I could go back to 7-year-old Kush. So I would say one thing is more bad days than good. You got to be ready for that. At a young age, someone needs to drill that in your head because otherwise it's gonna eat you up. Secondly, I would say is leave your ego. I mean, it's a process. If I told 7-year-old me leave your ego, he's just gonna become
what is he?
More egoistic. Yeah. He's just gonna become more cocky as well. So it's almost like the journey has to teach you, but maybe give them a heads up, like, learning and taking things from people is priceless because knowledge, everyone has different knowledge, different spread. Yeah. And taking that knowledge and putting it into your brain is one of the most powerful things you can do. Yeah. And it's an opportunity I missed out on a bit when I was young. Yeah. And ego got in the way of that. Yeah. So maybe give them a heads up. They probably won't listen and learn it their own way, but maybe a heads up would be good.
Amazing. Well, I think that's all I have, but we do have a few things. We wanted to do a cool little fun exercise that we saw, which was like reflex training. Yeah. So I need to learn from you. So you teach me how to do that. Can we get some tennis balls here?
This will be a fun part. So now you're staring. Normally people will be like this. Yeah. But you got to be just looking straight because any of these balls.
Yeah, sorry. Right?
So when I drop it, you can either catch it like that or you can catch it like this. All right? And I can drop any ball. Yeah. All right, ready?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, no,
perfect.
Yeah.
Ready? Very good. He's going to make me look like an idiot. Ready? And I can drop both now as well.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go 5. So you got 2.
Okay, right? Okay. That was close. Nice. That was close. Okay.
Nearly.
Okay. Not bad. Okay.
Last one.
Last one.
Like, am I going to drop 2 or 1? No. Oh, nearly. I'll give you that. 3 fair.
No. 3.5. So 3.5. Okay.
Enough.
Okay. So I'm below.
So you come here and then you just drop whichever one you want.
Okay. That's like too quick, man. That's how a professional does.
I just not practice.
Lots of practice, but that's amazing. Let's do the rapid fire outside. Yeah. So welcome to the den. We have a foosball table that we very rarely use.
Who wants to get kicked?
It's looking at those reflexes of yours, probably me. Yeah.
This is
okay.
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Go.
Come on, guys. Let's add.
That was my bad. I wouldn't even count that. 0-0.
That's the perfect video. Alright, Shivam, we're going golden goal, yeah? Winner takes all.
Yeah, done.
Come on, wood guys. Screamer.
1. Okay, so we have a rapid fire round. I have a few questions. I have 7 of them. And I'll try to get through them all.
Let's do it.
You wanna start
Ready?
this? So that you are distracted and not thinking while we are just saying.
I suck.
What is the most underrated skill as a driver and the most overrated?
Most underrated skill is how we can bounce back from a bad race. Yeah. And the most overrated skill is reactions.
What do you think? Okay, and I think I know the answer to this, but let's just clarify it again. Who is your favorite driver of all time?
I would say Mika Häkkinen, but also Ayrton Senna. I think he was a massive role model for all racing drivers, but also the dedication and hard work and the how obsessed he was to make it is something very inspiring.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten about racing from anyone?
I'm gonna have to say the Mika clutch thing, because that's something I can use in any, not just this race start, but also in anything, just showing how making a situation in your mind complicated when it really isn't. Yeah. You can really do that to anything in life and make the pressure or the overthinking go away.
How did you? This is actually an ironic question. Do you feel when you're driving for like racing versus driving in a city like Bangalore?
Yeah.
What is? Do you drive in a city like Bangalore, or how did you become a race car driver when we have Bangalore traffic?
I hate driving here, to be honest. Yeah, I love my city. Yeah. Best city in the world.
Yeah.
But man, driving here is a pain, and I probably get more nervous driving here than actually get on the racetrack. Or
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've got to give it. Everyone who drives here, respect.
If you could have any 3 guests for a dinner table for dinner.
Yeah.
Alive, currently, from anywhere in the world, dead or alive.
Okay.
Who would they be?
I would have my shop. I would have Senna for sure.
And you don't have to be racing related. It could be anyone.
I would have Senna, Muhammad Ali,
Okay.
and Conor McGregor probably. Would be hilarious. That's gonna be some fun. Conor McGregor.
Oh God.
But that would just be fun with a nice bottle of whiskey or something.
Okay, fair enough. What is your favorite activity if you're not driving? Like besides driving, I would say.
Favorite activity besides driving, I would say it was probably playing cricket or playing football. Yeah, I love karaoke as well, man.
Oh yeah, I know.
I gotta be like a bit intoxicated there, but because otherwise I get shy. Yeah, but I love karaoke and to relax. But I would say football or cricket. I just love playing sports in general.
Yeah. So while we were preparing for this, actually, we thought of 2 questions.
All right.
One was when you were living with this mechanic.
Yeah.
You're away from your family. You're away from your friends. What is like, and you're spending all this time at 11 or 12 with this mechanic, right? What is that relationship like? Do you still keep in touch? Did you have to adapt in any ways? Where were you living?
He becomes like my second dad, almost, because he provides, he puts food on the table.
Yeah.
He takes me around, so he becomes like the closest guy to you.
Yeah.
When you spend 4 or 5 months there and then come back home, it's almost like home feels weird now.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've spent so much time there.
Yeah.
So that was a big one, I would say. We've lost a bit we've lost a bit of connection now.
Yeah.
But if I see him, we'd go and hug each other. So it's almost like that never goes.
Yeah. But do you still stay in touch like digitally, like through us? Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah. And how old is this person, by the way?
So he was in his probably 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like 12, 13, and he had kids as well, so we all got along really well. But yeah, if I would say I'm very bad at keeping in touch.
Yeah.
I think I'm really bad with my phone or messaging.
Yeah.
But I would say if I see him in person, it would be back to how it was.
And fun fact, Kush actually had to become fluent in Italian to stay with him. So can you tell us something in Italian?
Yeah. What would you like me to tell you? Let me think, and then you can search it up later.
I will. We'll you give us something motivational. It can be like anything, and we'll put that up. Or it doesn't have to be motivational. Whatever you want.
Ti ammazzo in questo gioco.
Okay. Could you repeat that one more time for
Ti ammazzo in questo gioco.
Okay, we get that. We get the translation for it, and it'll probably be here somewhere. If it's something like Shivam, you're an idiot, you will see it. But thank you for that.
No.
The second question actually came from Nick's while we were preparing was when you're testing your time, when you're doing the test run for a race, when you're doing your practice, what is your team looking at? Versus when versus what do they expect from you at that point versus what they expect from you during when you're actually in the race?
So for a team, they want a calm driver who gives good feedback and keeps emotion out of it. The worst, you know how engineers are.
Yeah.
The worst thing for an engineer is having emotion because then it's like, it's getting in the way of their job.
Yeah.
It's almost like you got to be a robot.
Yeah.
Give your feedback and then maybe go and kick a dustbin there, but not in front of him.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that emotional regulation with them is very important, and that relationship is one of the most important things because if you guys are not speaking the same language, then your car isn't going to feel how you want it to feel. And he's not going to tell you the right things to change about you. So because that's the one contact you have when you're in the car, and outside when you're speaking to someone. You guys got to be connected fully and be speaking the same language. So that's a very important relationship, I would say.
Fair enough. And do you feel like in your conversations with other drivers, you've gotten any advice that has helped you in that?
For sure. Like even from Arjun, Arjun's very good at this. Very good at giving feedback to the engineer. Feeling what's wrong, and the way he gives the feedback is very clear. So taking pointers from him and using it in my debriefs or feedbacks has really helped actually close the gap, bridge a gap sometimes.
That's amazing. Okay, that's good. If because you're doing the same tracks year on year, if there is a certain track where you've driven before and you've had a crash, when you're going through that part again, because that's something that's like almost can cause you like PTSD, right? What is the mental sort of state at that point?
Very good question. I would say interesting question, but also it's not going to be the answer you expect. It's almost you don't even think about it, man. Like, I remember Baku, I had a big crash in 24 where the car was like in pieces, and then when I went back, there was almost like redemption. You don't even think about it. That's the thing, like, because you've done it so many times, it's almost like when a boxer gets knocked out, he's gonna come for his next fight and he's gonna be on it. So it's almost like when you've done it for so long, it's sort of like second nature instinct just to get in the car and forget about it.
And also kind of goes back to what Mika says, right? To just be in the moment.
Exactly.
Not over prepare.
Exactly.
Fair enough. So cricket's big in India, right? Like I said this to someone earlier, that the amount of cricket infrastructure we have is kind of synergist, like it almost is similar to how America spends on defense. It's probably more than the next 10 countries combined. Who's your favorite cricketer of all time? Because you love cricket as a sport, and why would that be?
I never liked it because it got so much attention, and again, young me, seeing cricket get all this attention and not racing was like heartbreaking. But I've learned to love it. I mean, I just love the sport in general. I love playing it. So I would say my favorite cricketer of all time would be either Sehwag or Dravid. Two opposites. I mean, Dravid is that clinical and Sehwag just comes in wax. It's just amazing to watch.
One's a Bangalore boy. Has he met him?
I have. He's managed by the same people that manage me here.
Okay.
So hopefully he's watching this. Maybe I'll bowl to you. I'm a good bowler, bro.
I just while thinking about this, I had one more question. Have you ever had a starstruck moment?
Starstruck? Probably when I saw Lewis. That's the only time.
Did you speak to him?
No, starstruck.
Have you met him since?
No, I just saw him there. But that's the only time I've had it. With him.
Okay, amazing. I'm sure that'll be him someday with you.
That's so sweet.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Last question. What is your favorite track of all time?
I'm gonna have to go with either Jeddah or Silverstone. I'll go Silverstone because of the history of it.
Yeah? Okay, amazing. Okay guys, we go back in. Kush, this has been everything I'd hoped for and more. What I find remarkable about your story, and what I hope that lands with every single listener, is that this isn't really a story about racing, right? It's the story about someone choosing to pursue something completely, even if it means leaving home at 12, missing out on all the normal things, dealing with self-doubt that nobody sees, and showing up every single day for years before anyone notices it. That applies to every founder, every athlete, every creative, every person building something meaningful from zero. The discipline, the mental work, the way you deal with failure, the humility to keep learning even after the Monaco win. You are the present and the future of Indian motorsport. And I think every Indian watching this, whether they've ever seen a race or not, is going to be cheering for you. For me, the Day Zero team and the entire community, and from all the millions of Indians who are now watching you, we're with you every lap of the way. This was Day Zero, Episode 5, Kush Maini. Go watch the Monaco race if you haven't. You will not regret it.
I felt that, man. I felt that. That was a good outro. Thank you so much, guys.
A fully deserved one. Okay, come on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Put it there, brother.
Love you, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.